Hello and welcome to this very first Yarndale Crochet-A-Long. Over the next 4 weeks I'm going to show you how to join granny squares to make a simple cardigan. Okay, I love making granny squares and they're my go-to, and I've got piles and piles of granny squares, and it's, well, what do you do with them? Got many blankets. So, well, hang on a minute, let's see what else we can do with a really simple join. Not very much shaping at all. You can make a gorgeous cardigan, which is where the Brenda cardigan came from. So very much this is going to be chat. The videos are actually already up on YouTube. So if you've not made granny squares before, you need to have a look at the classic granny square pattern, and that will talk you through and guide you through making your granny squares. If you have made granny squares and you can make them, you've already started a pile, you're going to need 43 granny squares for the cropped version, and you're going to need 48 for the standard classic Brenda cardigan, which is just a little bit longer, and you can make it longer still. If you want a long cardigan, you can make it even longer. You can just keep adding your squares. Once you've got the hang of joining them, the only ones that are slightly tricky, I would say, and we'll do it together, are the ones where it's the underarm, because you're joining one square to lots of other squares. But hopefully by the time you've got to that point, you'll have the hang of where you're joining and how you're joining, and it will make sense. It's the same pattern throughout, and regardless of how many different squares you're joining it to, it's exactly the same. So you'll have had lots of practice before you get to the tricky the arm ones. So let's not worry about that. So over the next 4 weeks, it's mostly going to be chat, and I'll be making granny squares because it's what I do all the time pretty much. I've always got some granny squares on the go. I can do them wherever, whenever, which is why I've got piles of them. So the pattern is on the website, so download it. You don't need to print it out, but if you prefer to print it out, by all means do. You're going to need a 4mm hook, some scissors and a darning needle for darning in all those ends, and I do recommend darning in your ends as you go. So every time you finish a granny square, actually that's not what I've done here, but every time you finish a granny square, try and get into the habit of just sewing in those ends when you finish it, and then they just take care of themselves and you're not left with a whole lot of ends to join in. So we use a 4mm hook and the classic granny square pattern, which is also on the website for you to download, and there's a YouTube video to help you. The Brenda cardigan uses 2 strands of our West Yorkshire Spinners Brenda sock wool held together double. I'm going to make a Nigel version actually as well, and there's a Hope one on the website, and you'll see that in the pattern. Throughout, it's that the yarn is held double because it's just 4-ply. So you could, if you've got some double knit wool in your stash, you could use double knit and you still use a 4mm hook, and you won't be holding it double. But it's to get that really squishy, nice, cosy. I'm going wrong, you see, I'm talking and not actually concentrating. I said I can do it. Squishy coziness of the wool, and holding the 2 strands of the sock yarn together gives a lovely kind of tweedy marley effect, which I think is really rather lovely, and you get the colours working throughout. So this week you need to assemble whatever your yarn you're using, find your hook, find the granny square pattern, and get started with making your granny squares. Now, although this is a crochet along, it really doesn't matter when you join in. The videos will be up on YouTube, and like I said, they're mostly chat, and there'll be a little bit of showing you how to. But hopefully, the granny square pattern that's already up there is a good start, and that will get you started. And next week we'll have a look at the pretty join, which goes around the outside. It's the final round, so depending on what size you're making, it's either the first, second, third, it's either the 5th round, the 6th round, or the 7th round of your granny square, depending on the size of the cardigan that you're actually making. So I'll leave you now, and I'm going to say happy granny square making. And if you've got any questions at all, please just pop them on the comments on the YouTube, on this YouTube video, and we'll get back to you, and hopefully we'll have lots of cosy cardigans by Christmas time. Or I always say by Christmas time, but it can be any Christmas, doesn't have to be this Christmas. So enjoy making your granny squares, and there's absolutely no rush whatsoever to finish. Okay, happy hooking.